Alright, so before we get into the brunt of this video, before I get really deep into Yasuo's asshole, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm saying this at the literal beginning of the video, but I guarantee someone is going to skip past this or not even be listening and comment, "This is clickbait," in the comment section down below. To clarify why this is not clickbait, I recently took a small trip to RIOT HQ in Dublin. Whilst I was there, I was lucky enough to sit in for a conference call with the game balancing team in LA. The conversation, it was pretty standard, you know, Cho'Gath is ridiculous, lethality is busted, etc, etc. However, towards the end of the call, someone started talking about Yasuo, and it led to the game balance team revealing that they were planning to rework Yasuo in some way. Also, to clarify, I asked some rioters when I was there if I was actually allowed to make a video on this and talk about potential Yasuo reworks, and they said it was alright, so I'm not like leaking company secrets here either. Now this, it's not going to be your average rework. It won't be a full skill rework like Taric or Galio with a visual upgrade or a visual change, but consider it the same vein as the Assassin's rework with like Katarina or LeBlanc, or the tank update or something like that. It's a light rework, and it's certainly on the cards for Yasuo. And just to clarify as well, despite my feelings for Yasuo and the people that tend to main this character, I am trying very, very hard not to make fun of the character or those people. I really am. I don't even know if you should like the video for my self-restraint, because fuck, it's almost too easy and it's really, really funny sometimes, but goddamn. So obviously the question lies in why the hell he should be reworked. Well, there was mentions around the room of how Yasuo is a shit stomper in low elo, absolutely able to destroy in 1v9 at lower levels, but towards the higher end of the elo spectrum, he just doesn't really operate in the same way. I mean, his win rate towards the 25 to 35 minute mark in higher elo, at least in this last patch or two, has smashed through the floor so hard it now lives in the basement with the rest of the people who play the fucking champion. I'm sorry, that was cheap, but you know I was gonna do that. You knew I was gonna do that. So I guess with that, let's talk about Yasuo. What can change, what needs changing, and who the hell else better would be to ask than a streamer who literally named themselves after the champion that they main. Yasuo had this to say about it all.
Chess bond the stone mid. Oh my god. Alright. I didn't buy?
Hey man, was just wondering what you think could be changed about Yasuo if he were to be
Perfect.
reworked, and also you forgot to buy items, lol.
Oh wow, thank you. What would he change about Yasuo? Honestly, no clue. Viper's gonna gank me. Fucking piece of shit Viper, dumbass.
Well, okay. Alright then.
Hey man, we're just wondering what you think could be changed by Yasuo if he were to be real cost free to buy items. I'm not sure, honestly. I think his wind wall should be changed in a way. People are talking about his passive being changed, but I don't know. Some guy had a change on Reddit where it was like, for every auto attack you gain more stacks and up to like 100, and once you get 100 stacks it's like a shield.
Ah, that's better. So, after this I did some digging on Reddit, and there's actually been a decent amount of discussion revolving around Yasuo's potential reworks, as early as within the last week even, with most of the discussion being talks around his passive shield and his win wall, where he relies a little bit too heavily on a passive that he has to run in circles to even get up for any real damage mitigation, which can be popped by a level 1 Soraka blowing a Dandelion really aggressively in his direction. And with Windwall, it's just a no-thought reaction spell that can cockblock every fucking thing in the game, and it's just so fucking wide. This is like literally Yasuo players dropping their moms onto the Rift and her just eating up all the skill shots. So some of the ideas that came out of these Reddit threads when regarding that passive was instead of it being a passive shield that you can get up by standing behind your caster minions and running in circles, you could have it be a passive that requires either abilities used or auto attacks and abilities dealt to champions to be required to fill the bar. Similar to how kind of Kled works when he's off Scarl, he needs to hit minions and kill minions or hit enemies to get that shield back up, which is Scarl essentially. The shield could be bigger, making it more powerful for damage mitigation, but also meaning that it requires him to put himself in riskier situations to benefit from it. Another idea was that getting a full bar would grant you an empowered next ability, which, beyond adding some extra damage to his Q or something, I'm not really sure how you'd empower the kit he currently has. It's not exactly the most interesting kit in the game to begin with, beyond maybe giving him some extra movement speed on his empowered dash or his Q or something. The biggest thing I saw that a lot of people felt needed to be changed was win wall though. From my experience, when playing against or with Yasuo players, it really feels like their biggest mistake, aside from playing the champion to begin with, is the use of this spell. It's a really feast or famine spell for a feast or famine character, I guess, that I always see consistently used poorly. Either the Yasuo drops a win wall in a fight and completely zones out everyone on the enemy team, whilst you steamroll them for zero cost with absolutely zero counterplay because your team are already nibbling on their nipples, or the Yasuo uses it poorly or too early. He blocks maybe 1 or 2 spell shots, maybe even nothing, and then it's down for 20 odd seconds and it is essentially completely useless, only ever being used in lane when the enemy laner is clearly trying to just bait it out, or they just throw it down willy-nilly in a skirmish mid because they just have it up and they just think, ah, fuck it, it's a spell, I might as well use it. They use it because they have it, not necessarily because they know how to use it. Some of the potential changes and ideas to change this spell are actually really interesting. There's the idea that it could have charges, but each win wall is far smaller and also doesn't last nearly as long as the almost 4 seconds his win wall currently does, and with that it has a lower cooldown overall, or that it has to be channeled whilst you can still move, and the longer you charge it, the wider it is, so you could still be using it to react to spells, but if you actually wanted to intentionally wall off a backline during an engage, you can make it big enough to cover a few teammates from damage as well. For the most part though, any decent team will see that win wall come down and they will just reposition or hold off until it's down and then continue to fight. You drop that and a team isn't retarded and you're now sitting on a 16 to 20 second long spell that you cannot fucking use because it's on cooldown. If I had to guess though, the biggest changes Riot would make would probably be to this spell. It's just too overpowered when used right in a fight, and it's just too completely useless if you're not a very seasoned Yasuo player. I'm level 4 on Yasuo, I don't even know how, I really hate playing him, and even at that, like, I don't know how the fuck to use this spell. I will throw it down in a fight when I try and react to spells, and I'll just fucking dance around it, and I have no idea if I'm utilizing it properly, trying to get the wall between myself and the enemy. A lot of the time it just ends up in me dying. It's really fucking stupid, and that's my own fault because I don't really know the ins and outs of the character, but I feel like a lot of people are probably very similar. If they don't play Yasuo shitloads and they're not really good high level players, this spell is a little bit of a fucking mystery for everybody. And I do get it. I understand that it sounds completely retarded to say that, oh, it's overpowered when used right and completely useless if you don't use it right. That's kind of fucking obvious. But honestly, if you played with Yasuos before, which I assume each and every one of you guys watching this video has, unless you've accidentally stumbled onto this channel from a Minecraft video, in which case it's way past your bedtime, what are you doing up this late, does your mother know you're on the computer? Then you know exactly what I'm talking about, because we've all, at one point in our lives, we've been playing League of Legends against an enemy team with a Yasuo on it. He's dropped it in a fight and you've all just said in Discord or Skype or whatever you use, wait for the win wall to finish before you go in. Or you've just walked around the terribly placed win wall anyway, and it's suddenly a useless spell. It doesn't fucking do anything, and then you proceed to smash the 0 and 12 Yasuo to bits anyway. Changes to this spell, for me at least personally, from what I have played of Yasuo, although I tend not to play him too much because I kind of dislike him. Although in this game I went 15-0, so, you know, hell yeah. They really do seem just a little bit necessary. The rest of his kit would be interesting to take a look at too. Maybe making his dash also be able to be used normally without being targeted on a champion or a minion. However, if you do use it without a minion to bleep onto or a champion, you can still dash to minions with the same cooldown, but you cannot use it freely again for a longer cooldown. Or maybe it has charges too, so once every 20-30 seconds you gain a stack that allows you to dash freely. That might be a really fucking terrible idea, but it's an idea nonetheless, and I think it'll be interesting to see how Riot tackle this rework, because it seems like Yasuo has they have a very firm focus on what Yasuo needs to be and what he has to be, and he has a really strong identity in League of Legends with his spells. So you can't really change much without disrupting pretty much every fucking person that plays him and pissing off the Yasuo community. And for a community that owns probably millions of katanas combined between every single person that plays them, That Riot will have a war on their hands, and that's probably not a fucking good idea. You do not want to piss off Yasuo players. I've been down that road. It's not fun. Dear God. But hell, it's still interesting regardless, and I can put aside my hatred for Yasuo to discuss maybe how we can make the character a little bit better. And being one of the very few people, and one of the first few people to even know that it's happening, is also pretty cool, especially outside of Riot. Especially considering my spotty relationship with this character in the past. So for people that main Yasuo and they don't want him to be changed at all, I might have just ruined your day, and I'm kind of happy about it. But for people that think that Yasuo's a little bit stupid or needs some changes, which I think is most of us, we can all agree on, that his win wall needs a bit of a change, then it's kind of interesting. It's not a character that I would have anticipated to get a rework, and I don't really know what the timescale is for it being changed. But regardless, let me know in the comment section what you think needs changed, or any suggestions that you have for potential changes to Yasuo. I'd really appreciate it, as well as that if you could maybe drop a like to counterbalance the potential hordes of Yasuo players that are very upset because I semi-insulted their mother. Take it easy, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy this, feel free to subscribe as well, because I have plenty more clickbait videos where this comes from. Yeah, love you. Bye.